This is a facility that has been created by the community, for the community.
I get chills and misty every time I walk in there, thinking that, wow, it's almost here.
People are going to see this structure and they're going to be inquisitive about it. They're going to want to check it out, and they're going to go and they're going to experience it.
The whole building itself lends itself to just the sense of something is happening. The building is gorgeous. There's that feeling that you're going to a very special place.
Because of the surroundings, because of all of the pieces of the puzzle that have been put together here, it's a facility and a destination point, ultimately.
I don't think I can put into words what it's going to feel like. It's going to be elation, sense of relief, joy. It's just going to be overwhelming.
I'm excited. I feel a real sense of pride.
How proud can I be? I'm about to pop.
I remember more than 10 years ago being new as the mayor in Tempe, and a group of community leaders, a couple council members came and said, isn't it time that we have a fully standalone, state-of-the-art art center for our community?
Well, obviously a facility was missing for our performing arts groups. They were performing in high school auditoriums, sometimes performing outside. Child's Play was obviously using a building that was not intended to be a theater, although we call it an arts center or performing arts center.
I think they probably outgrew the space within the first 2 months that they existed here, and it was never meant to be a performing arts space. Performing arts spaces are unique architecturally, engineering-wise. This was meant to be offices.
The facility from the beginning was planned as an interim step, and it was built, it's equipped, but it's not completely equipped as a full theater, and really wasn't intended to, because it was intentionally as a median solution to a longer term problem of an actual home.
I was on the Arts Commission, and we were writing our strategic goals and plans, actually reaching out beyond 2000. And we identified this as one of our strategic goals, and that was to have a visual and performing arts center for the citizens of Tempe.
And so that's when the conversation sort of started. I think it had happened in arts organizations even before it got brought to those of us that were in the local government.
There was a study done that indicated, yes, there probably would be support, and it looked at all of the other competing facilities that were around the valley and determined the kind of niche that could be filled by Tempe.
And people thought, oh, well, we have Gamage and we have the ASU Arts Museum. We have, plenty of art in Tempe. And some people even thought the Z Gallery was a real art gallery. So we had a lot of work to do educating the public and having them understand that, no, we as a city really don't have any true arts venues.
It was the Tempe Little Theater, it was the Symphony, it was very grassroots local arts organizations and local arts activists that kept pointing out the need for a facility that was really a Tempe facility.
We have certainly Arizona State University with Gamage Auditorium and the music facilities, great art centers that are already in Tempe, but they're not really facilities that provide the community an opportunity to participate in a hands-on way in the arts.
I think that the council members all believed that we needed to have more of a presence of the arts in Tempe. I mean, that was important. The question became, how do we go about that?
And the council finally decided that to increase the sales tax by 1/10% would most likely get this facility built. if in fact the citizens did support it.
We realized that probably the only way to get this building was through taking it to the voters and with a sales tax increase.
And once that took shape, then I became involved with the committee to work on what was called Prop 400.
We were on the committee, on the Prop 400 committee, and so we're part of that whole political campaign to try to convince the voters that this was a good idea.
So we ran the campaign just like any other political campaign, through education, through talking to individuals. We gathered their support and had a successful outcome in May, which we're all very proud of.
You know, if any piece of the overall group would not have been really strong, it might not have happened. But you had government support, you had community support, you had business support, you had the arts community support, so everyone was able to sort of come together. So that's always the best kind of victory.
But election night truly marked a milestone for our community and for me personally.
I think it just confirmed everything that I had thought and our committee had thought about the city of Tempe, that it was progressive, that it did think about the arts. The arts were an important element to the city.
There was a lot of cheering, and there was a great elation as to what would come next.
Can you say ecstasy? I mean, it was a dream come true.
We were finally going to get the Arts Center that we had talked about for so long.
And it was just a huge sense of relief and elation. And now what do we do? What is the next step? How do we find the best architect? How do we find the best site?
And so I felt to really meet that high threshold of quality, we should have a competition. And we should see who out there in the architecture world and the arts world really wants to be a part of this project and can share our vision for what this will mean to our community.
We heard from architectural teams from all over the world, really, and we winnowed it down to 3 design teams.
And after that time, they all came up with models of what they foresaw the facility functioning like and feeling like. And from those 3 architectural teams, we eventually chose the Architecturon team and with Barton Myers.
You wouldn't go for open heart surgery without going to a doctor that's done it before. You'd be crazy, and theater's a bit like that. You don't want to do your first theater in somebody who's never done one.
And we asked Barton to join our team because we really respect Barton's theater knowledge and his body of work that he's done around the country.
We're only going to get an opportunity to do this right once, and that we needed to see what other performing and visual arts centers look like throughout the country and Canada.
We looked at a number of art centers. We talked to a number of people in performing arts because we wanted an art center that was going to be unique, that was going to be elegant, that was going to become a landmark for the city.
And the task of the executive committee was basically to foster the growth and the progression of this project through the design phase and through the development phase.
The community has many, many art groups, and so finding the design that's going to fit everyone, you read anywhere that says, well, if you design a building that's supposed to fit everybody, it's not going to fit anyone. But I don't think that's the case.
So we were involved in discussions with the architects. On an ongoing basis, we discussed ourselves together as user groups because there were a number of us who are planning on being in this building.
We had many, 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 many meetings.
There was so much citizen input in deciding what would be in the Arts Center, from the rooms that would be there to the size of it to the location of it, that I think that it's something the citizens are going to be very, very proud of.
I knew and wanted from the beginning that it needed to be something that really made a statement, not just another building, but something that people from the air or driving by would say, wow, what is that? I have to go see that.
What is it to do an iconic building? We were asked to create the Sydney Opera House on Tempe Town Lake.
Well, theaters are the most complex building in architecture.
And, that's a big responsibility. So how do you start that? And you start looking at a lot of the views, it's an amazing sight. The ability to see to the north, the Camelback and Papago Buttes, and just facing north, which is great in our climate where we don't have to deal as much with the sun.
But it's sited in a way that it provides maximum public use of the lakeshore and the views that are provided from Town Lake.
John gets great credit for the shaping of the roof. We probably went through 10 different roof schemes, and we kept saying, nope, that's not quite yet. Let's try something else.
Some of the early ideas were the idea of a landform, the idea of geological formations such as Monument Valley, and how the buildings can grow out of the ground and become iconic landforms.
And we had such a peculiar situation where right under this flight pattern, we've got to handle not only the noise problem, but satisfy the desire for the high standards that we were expecting.
In acoustics, there are two things you're trying to do. One is keep the noise out, and the other one is to make the room sound good. So one of the biggest problems we had was keeping the noise out.
But then looking at radically different influences such as like the stealth bombers and the idea of minimizing the surface area for radar, for this about minimizing the impact of sound waves and energy waves, and how the facets start reducing that impact.
So that's where that idea of the big tent going over, and then each room has its own roof on it. And the main theater has that beautiful concrete and wood roof, which is very, very special.
When we saw the design, we were pretty excited, actually, to get involved.
And its unique architecture is a blend of a very modern look, but yet when you step into the main hall is very traditional.
It's so different from so many wonderful ways. I mean, as you walk around it, it's different from every view.
Things that were involved in the structure from the very start of the building are still visible today when you walk in the finished building.
They're all pretty modern, beautiful, real materials. The wood's beautiful, the concrete is a natural material, the glass is a beautiful material. So all of that seems to be working really quite well.
It's like a little village, the idea that every time you go back you might see something a little different and discover something new.
It seems very real. They're real materials, they're tangible. So much of our life is so artificial that it's, how it's made, it seems very plastic. And this one, it's going to be there for 100 years. And if not, it'll make a beautiful ruin.
We had some of us that were looking at the project and saying, wow, that looks tough to build, and then a lot of us were saying, wow, that looks fun to build. And I think both of us were right.
But this building goes far beyond that. Not only is it going to be a facility with two great theaters for live performances and music, but it's also got a really fascinating display space for display art.
Several artists were commissioned to add art features to this project. And the art was not just plopped down in the building, it was actually made integral to the construction process.
Well, you've got three wonderful works of art, individual, one-of-a-kind works of art in the center. So I think it just enhances what our concept was to begin with, and that was to create a very distinctive performing arts center that was unlike anything that had been built before.
Because of its iconic design and unusual architecture, I don't think it could have been built anywhere else in the valley except where it's currently located and in our progressive community.
Architecton and Bart Myers worked together to create this wonderful fluid space, a wonderful ceiling in the main theater, a black box theater that is going to have so many uses, and it's just going to be perfectly adaptable for some of the Child's Play performances. It's awe-inspiring to see something that you've thought about for so many years, and you see it take shape.
It feels like, oh, it's just so worth it. This is such an exciting addition to the state, not just to Tempe.
And when you think that that was just a barren space of brown earth, and now we have this wonderful building to look at, it's very, very gratifying and satisfying.
This has been a long haul for everybody involved. There are individuals that have volunteered thousands and thousands of hours.
We've met our goal in making that a very wonderful space, and I think any of the performers are going to love performing there.
Having that facility adds credibility to the arts as a real integral part of a community, and I think that that's got to be really high on all of the companies' lists.
What else can we give that will be so permanent as to have something that will aspire to the better nature of all people? Help everybody to enjoy their creativity, their own appreciation of other people's creativity.
This is a vision that is for a lot of people that have participated in. And to be part of that, I think, is just a wonderful experience as an architect.
But I'm extremely proud of this one. It's been very, very special. And I hope that people are as excited about it and love it as much as we've loved working on it.
I really feel like the design team, when they were designing a building to host arts and host performing arts, actually created a work of art themselves.
And we've arrived here at the threshold of what I think is a defining moment in the history of Tempe.
The vision really, though, has come together. And you think about all the things that had to happen with the Rio Salado project, with downtown Tempe, with the growth of the arts presence in our community, and then the initiative and the campaign, the voters saying yes, and the competition, and the many iterations of what the design could be like, and the challenges, and the big challenges to building something as special as this right under the path to the airport and on an old landfill. So there were a lot of challenges, but all along the way, with all the challenges that came up, everyone involved really stayed steady to the task, and it's been just a phenomenal thing and a phenomenal outcome for the community.
We've made the journey together as a community, and we're going to celebrate together as a community. Grand opening weekend. I appreciate all who have helped along this journey, and they've made this dream a reality. And I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart.